One can please lead the invocation prayers.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can do it.
Go ahead.
Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Salakayi Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Tapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Sadati Swapadambikam Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Gutapatakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Sa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saragana Raghunadam Sa Shivam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Saragana Lalita Shri Vishaham Vitam Sa Shri Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpati Gopika Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostuti Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishapanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakalpatarvasya Sa Kripa Sindhu Vaya Eva Sa Patitanam Pavanavayo Vaishnavayo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Viranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. So first I'm going to bring up on screen striking points from previous classes. I think I have missed bringing up on screen the striking points for last few classes. First I'll bring that and we'll then continue with Canto 1, Chapter 10, and time permitting I will also answer inquiries from the previous classes. So the first, you have 3 sets of striking points, and so this is first set. You have 3 slides. Take a snapshot. This is slide number 2. And slide number 3. The second set has 4 slides. There's slide number 1. Slide number 2. Slide 3. And slide 4. And the third set of striking points has 3 slides. There's slide 1. Slide 2. And slide 3. Everybody got the slides? Okay. So next we'll continue with Canto 1, Chapter 10. So you had some homework questions somebody wants to answer?
Vijay, may I try this one?
Yeah.
The question was, how did Yudhishthira rule favorably influence the world situation? Yudhishthira basically he got the blessings from Bhishmadev as well as from Lord, disciple of Lord, direct disciple of Lord Krishna, has got the pious nature, and he was able to rule with all the principles in, that suits to the human society. And he was so merciful on the animals, first of all, the cattle and that gives a lot of milk, and the nature was staying because he was so close to Krishna, and his nature by the God has blessed him with enough rain all over the country, and the nature was graceful, and he was blessed with plenty of natural resources. The people were not deprived of the basic necessities like grains, milk, and whatever is required. And there is no enmity, and there was no commotion, and because of the nature of the fire, the people, the leader, as a king, as a pious, the people also became very pious, and it was running smooth. This is what my little understanding.
Yeah, very good. Anybody wants to add anything?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, if I may, I think the concept of a world state where there's an universally applicable ideology cannot happen except by the will of the Supreme Infallible Lord. So Maharaj Yudhishthira, he followed the Infallible Lord, and that's why he was able to rule the world. And his ideology was not manufactured, it wasn't for personal motives. And so he was the king universally, he was accepted universally. And because he was under the divine protection of the Lord, his subjects, all of the kingdom was protected.
All right, very good. Anybody has any questions, comments, realizations before we continue? All right, so we'll continue from Canto 1, Chapter 10, from where we left off from verse number 7 onwards. In terms of recap of where we are. At the start of Chapter 10, Sonaka Rishi inquired that when Yudhishthir lost his family members, how could Yudhishthir enjoy? Normally, people like to share with relatives to feel happy. And what was Yudhishthir's inclination to become a king? Answer was given that Yudhishthir did not become king to show off his opulences. Rather, Yudhishthir is a sincere devotee of Krishna. To fulfill Krishna's desire, Yudhishthir became the king. He accepted this responsibility to satisfy the infallible Krishna. How? By hearing instructions and following instructions of Bhishma Dev, and by approval of Achyuta Krishna, Yudhishthir became king and ruled this way. Yudhishthir's confusion was cleared. Yudhishthir understood that all were killed under Krishna's order. Hence, Yudhishthir started to rule the kingdom. During Yudhishthir's rule, everything was very auspicious. Earth was filled with natural resources, trees filled with fruits and flowers. Everybody paid their taxes. Cows gave so much milk. So in chapter 8, so let's take a step back. In chapter 8, verse number 7, Krishna was ready to depart from Hastinapur to Dwarka. And at that time, a diversion happened that Uttara came running for protection. Then there were prayers of Queen Kunti and till Bhishma Dev's passing away. So this was this diversion from Uttara to Kunti Maharani to Bhishma Dev's prayers. And now we are back to the same point in chapter 10, verse number 7. So we will connect those dots. We will read chapter 8, verse number 7, and then we will read chapters 10, verse number 7 and 8 to bring us back to where Krishna was before this diversion of Uttara, Kunti Maharani and Bhishma Dev prayers. So Shivangi will read and everybody will follow. First, Canto 1, chapter 8, verse number 7. And then Canto 1, chapter 10, verse number 7 and 8.
Hare Krishna. Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 7. Lord Sri Krishna then prepared for his departure. He invited the sons of Pandu after having been worshipped by the Brahmanas headed by Srila Vyasadeva. The Lord also reciprocated greetings. Chapter 10, verse 7 and 8. Sri Hari, Lord Sri Krishna, resided at Hastinapura for a few months to pacify his relatives and please his own sister Subhadra. Afterwards, when the Lord asked permission to depart and the king gave it, the Lord offered his respects to Maharaja Yudhishthira by bowing down at his feet, and the king embraced him. After this, the Lord, being embraced by others and receiving their obeisances, got onto his chariot.
Everybody sees the connection that Krishna stayed in Hastinapur for a few more months to pacify his relatives, specifically Subhadra Maharani. And Krishna is acting like a normal human being. These are the pastimes as a human. Hence, Krishna is acting like a normal human. Right? This is Krishna's farewell ceremony. The verses that we'll cover, this is all Krishna's farewell ceremony. And feelings of different relatives are described. Krishna always respected Yudhishthir as elder brother. Krishna asked permission to depart and Yudhishthir allowed. Krishna bowed down to Yudhishthir as king and Yudhishthir embraced Krishna. So those who are juniors to Krishna, they offered obeisances to Krishna. So we'll read in all these verses how Krishna reciprocated differently with everyone, as well as it will continue in the next chapter also. In Canto 10, verse number 8, purport, Srila Prabhupada says, no one is equal to or greater than the Lord. But Krishna takes pleasure when devotees treat him younger than himself. Divya will read verse 9 and 10 translation, chapter 10. Divya.
Prabhuji, she's just having some connection issues.
All right,
Someone
Nitya.
else can do?
Nitya, 9 and 10.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. At that time, Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, Yuyutsu, Kripacharya, Nakula, Sagadeva, Bhimasena, Daunya, and Satyavati all nearly fainted because it was impossible for them to bear the separation from Lord Krishna.
Read the purport.
Yes, Prabhu. Lord Krishna is so attractive for the living beings, especially for the devotees, that it's impossible for them to tolerate the separation. The conditioned soul under the spell of illusionary energy forgets the Lord, otherwise he cannot. The feeling of such separation cannot be described, but it can simply be imagined by devotees only. After the separation from Vrindavana and the innocent rural cowherd boys, girls, ladies and others, they all felt shock throughout their lives. And the separation of Radharani, the most beloved cowherd girl, is beyond expression. Once they met at Kurukshetra during a solar eclipse, and the feeling which was expressed by them is heart-rending. There is, of course, a difference in the qualities of the transcendental devotees of the Lord, but none of them who have ever contacted the Lord by direct communion or otherwise can meet him for a moment. That is the attitude of the pure devotee.
So this was very painful for relatives to bear the separation from Krishna, because Krishna is very attractive, specifically for the devotees. Chandran Prabhu, verse 11 and 12 translation.
Hare Krishna. Text 11 and 12. The intelligent who have understood the Supreme Lord in association with few devotees and have become freed from bad materialistic association can never avoid hearing the glories of the Lord, even though they have heard them only once. How then could the Pandavas tolerate his separation? For they had been intimately associated with this person, seeing him face to face, touching him, conversing with him, and sleeping, sitting, and dining with him.
So just by hearing about Krishna, one is not being able to give up. Then how can these devotees of Hastinapur, who have given their body, mind and soul to Krishna, how can they bear the separation from Krishna? This was very difficult for all the residents of Hastinapur, and will come up very, very soon for the discussion on this. We gain relief by good Sangha, that is Satsanga. So as a result, by association of devotees and Krishna, one is freed from bad association. When one is freed from bad association, such a person will always be eager to hear Krishna Katha. In association of materialistic persons, one becomes mad of this world. Enviousness increases. Thus, we will not be able to relish the pastimes and glories of Krishna. This is explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Prabhu, read 11 and 12 purport. Chandan Prabhu.
Purport. The living being's constitutional position is one of serving a superior. He is obliged to serve by force the dictates of illusory material energy in different phases of sense gratification. And in serving the senses, he is never tired. Even though he may be tired, the illusory energy perpetually forces him to do so without being satisfied. There is no end to such sense gratificatory business, and the conditional soul becomes entangled in such servitude without hope of release. The release is only effected by association with few devotees. By such association, one is gradually promoted to his transcendental consciousness. Thus, he can know that his eternal position is to render service unto the Lord and not to the perverted senses in the capacity of lust, anger, desire to lord it over, etc. Material society, friendship, and love are all different phases of lust. Home, country, family, society, wealth, and all sorts of corollaries are all causes of bondage in the material world, where the threefold miseries of life are concomitant factors. By associating with few devotees and by hearing them submissively, attachment for material enjoyment becomes slackened, and attraction for hearing about the transcendental activities of the Lord becomes prominent. Once they will go on progressively without stoppage, like fire in gunpowder. It is said that Hari, the personality of Godhead, is so transcendently attractive that even those who are self-satisfied by self-realization and are factually liberated from all material bondage also become devotees of the Lord. Under the circumstances, it is easily understood what must have been the position of the Pandavas, who were constant companions of the Lord. They could not even think of separation from Sri Krishna, since the attraction was more intense for them because of continuous personal contact. His remembrance by his form, quality, name, fame, pastimes, etc., is also attractive for the pure devotee. So much so that he forgets all forms, quality, name, fame, and activities of the mundane world. And due to his mature association with pure devotees, he is not out of contact with the Lord of the moment, Lord for a moment. Hare Krishna.
So the last line is important, and the purport, many points are important. That due to mature association with pure devotees, a devotee is not out of contact with the Lord even for a moment. Therefore, this is what we should do, that we should always be in association of devotees so that we are always in contact with the Lord. Questions, comments, realization so far? Mayank Prabhu, 13, 14.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Abhishek Prabhu, go ahead.
Prabhuji, should we see differences in, like, many times it is said that association of pure devotees. Many times our association is also people like us only, maybe little up and down. So should we see it differently?
See what differently?
The association, many times, like the purport says that association, it talks about association of pure devotees, but our regular association is people like us who are practicing. So is that a, like, is that association of different standard than what is described in these purports?
All right, I'll play a short video here, and that should answer your question. Basically, there are two ways to associate with pure devotees. Pure devotees generally here refers to spiritual master. One is Vani, the other is Vapu. Vani means following the instructions, and Vapu is physical proximity. So between Vani and Vapu, Vani is easier and
devotees are complaining.
better.
My guru has
Vani is easier and better way to associate with spiritual master. On a day-to-day basis, yes, we associate with devotees who may not necessarily be at the pure level. So yes, we do associate with those devotees also. But in terms of Abhishek Prabhu's question, that how do I be in constant association with a pure devotee like a spiritual master? The answer is simple. Follow the instructions of a pure devotee, and you will be always in association with your spiritual master. So let's hear what I have on the screen, and that should answer Abhishek Prabhu's inquiry.
devotees are complaining. My guru has so many disciples who have no connection with him. He's so far and very far back behind. Even if he's physically present, my senior powerful brothers and sisters do block me from having access. How do I connect to my guru? The science is not physical. Don't you have your mind? You don't have the mind to think of your guru? You don't have your tongue, the mind to pray to the guru, to confess, to tell him, to beg him for strength? to beg him for shelter, to beg him for protection, to thank him for everything that he's doing. The facility, everybody has it. Why can't we use it? So use it. So for a devotee who is using this, you follow the principle. Where is the distance between you and your spiritual master? Where is the distance? The mind not engaged in Krishna consciousness is creating the distance. Therefore, the process is given to us here.
Abhishek Prabhu, does that answer your inquiry?
Yes, Guruji, thank you.
Right. So the mind not engaged in Krishna consciousness causes the distance from your spiritual master. Everybody on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations? All right. Mayank Prabhu, 1314 translation.
Hare Krishna. All their hearts were melting for him on the pot of attraction. They looked at him without blinking their eyes, and they moved hither and thither in perplexity. 14. The female relatives, whose eyes were flooded with tears out of anxiety for Krishna, came out of the palace. They could stop their tears only with great difficulty. They feared that tears would cause misfortune at the time of departure.
So Krishna is ready to depart and everyone is rushing to the spot. Their hearts and minds are completely absorbed in Krishna. And they were looking at Krishna without blinking. They are so very much attached to Krishna. The female relatives whose eyes were flooded with tears, they could control the tears with great difficulty. Mayank Prabhu, 14 purport.
There were hundreds of ladies in the palace of Hastinapur. All of them were affectionate to Krishna. All of them were relatives also. When they saw that Krishna was going away from the palace for his native place, they were very anxious for him, and as usual, tears began to roll down their cheeks. They thought at the same time that tears at that moment might be a cause of misfortune for Krishna, therefore, they wanted to check them. This was very difficult for them because the tears could not be checked. Therefore, they smeared their tears in their eyes, and their hearts throbbed. Therefore, ladies who were the wives and daughters-in-law of those who died in the battlefield never came in direct contact with Krishna. But all of them heard of him and his great activities, and thus they thought of him, talked of him, his name, fame, etc., and became affectionate also, like those who were in direct contact. Therefore, directly or indirectly, anyone who thinks of Krishna, talks of Krishna, or worships Krishna becomes attached to him, because Krishna is absolute. There is no difference between his name, form, quality, etc. Our intimate relation with Krishna can be confidentially revived by talking of, hearing of, or remembering him. It is so done due to spiritual potency.
Yeah, Krishna's name, form, quality, etc. are identical. So we have discussed specifically in Canto 1, Chapter 8, the qualities of Krishna. At least for me, it's easier to remember the qualities of Krishna rather than trying to remember the form of Krishna. You can continue whatever works for you. You don't have to change as long as you are able to remember Krishna 24 hours. Questions, comments, realizations? Next verse has the discussion about females having shyness. So shyness is the extra natural beauty of females. Gauri, 15 and 16 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. 15 Translation. While the Lord was departing from the palace of Hastinapur, different types of drums like Mridanga, Dhol, Nagar, Dhunduri and Dhundubi and flutes of different types, the Veena, Gomukh and Jheri all sounded together to show him honor. Verse 16 Translation. Out of a loving desire to see the Lord, the royal ladies of the Kurus got up on top of the palace, and smiling with affection and shyness, they showered flowers upon the Lord.
So shyness, we'll soon read from the purport that shyness of the females is extra natural beauty of the females. Gauri, purport, paragraph number 1, 16, purport.
Shyness is a particular extra natural beauty of the fair sex, and it commands respect from the opposite sex. This custom was observed even during the days of the Mahabharata. That is more than 5,000 years ago. It is not only the less intelligent persons, not well versed in the history of the world, who say that observance of separation of female from male is an introduction of the Mohammedan period in India. This incident from the Mahabharata period proves definitely that ladies of the palace observed strict parda, restricted association with men, and instead of coming down into the open space where Lord Krishna and the others were assembled, the ladies of the palace went up the top of the palace and from there paid their respects to Lord Krishna by showers of flowers. It is definitely stated here that the ladies were smiling there on top of the palace, checked by shyness. This shyness is a gift of nature to the fair sex, and it enhances their beauty and prestige, even if they are of a lesser important family or if they are less attractive. We have practical experience of this fact. A sweeter woman commanded the respect of many respectable gentlemen simply by manifesting a lady's shyness. Half-naked ladies in the street do not command any respect, but a shy sweeper's wife commands respect from all.
So shyness is the quality of ladies. Shyness is the ornament of ladies. Shyness decorates the ladies. So shyness does not take away their prestige and honor. Abhishek Prabhu, 17-18 translations. They are straightforward verses.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. 17. At that time, Arjuna, the great warrior and conqueror of sleep, who is the intimate friend of the most beloved Supreme Lord, took up an umbrella which had a handle of jewels and was embroidered with lace and pearls. 18. Uddhava and Satyaki began to fan the Lord with decorated fans, and the Lord, as the master of Madhu, seated on scattered flowers, commanded them along the road.
So Arjuna is described as conqueror of sleep. Anybody remembers from Bhagavad Gita the Sanskrit word for this?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Abhishek Prabhu?
Gudakesh.
Very good. Gauri?
Gudakesh.
Yeah, very good. Correct. Yeah, Gudakesh means conqueror of sleep. Very good. Divya, are you able to now read verse number 19 translation?
Hare Krishna, yes, Prabhuji. Verse number 19. Uddhava and Satyaki began to fan the Lord.
You are on a wrong place. Chapter 10.
Oh, sorry, 19, Prabhuji, right? I was
Yeah.
on 18. Sorry, 19. Translation. It was being heard there and here and there that the benedictions being paid to Krishna were neither befitting nor unbefitting because they were all for the Absolute who was now playing the part of a human being.
So benedictions for the Lord were neither unbefitting nor befitting because Krishna is absolute truth. From opulence point, wanting Krishna to be happy may not matter. But from Madhurya viewpoint, wanting Krishna to be happy is actually very pleasing, and it relishes his sweetness to his devotees. So Krishna is saying that when you all bless me, that brings me a lot of pleasure, because Krishna is performing human pastimes. So in Canto 10, there are so many pastimes where all these Vrajvasis are saved by Krishna. Still, Vrajvasis are blessing Krishna, and Krishna relishes this blessing of the Vrajvasis. Everybody on the same page?
Yes,
Malti, are you able to read verse number 20, translation and purport?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Am I audible? Otherwise, I will connect to phone.
You are audible well.
Text 20. Absorbed in a thought of the transcendental quality of the Lord, who is sung in select poetry, the ladies on the roof of all the house of Hastinapur begin to talk of him. His talk was more attractive than the hymns of the Vedas. Hare Krishna.
Purport.
Text 20 purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that in the Vedic literatures, the goal is the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. Actually, the glories of the Lord are um, depicted in such literature as the Vedas, Ramayana, and Mahabharata. And in the Bhagavatam, they are specifically mentioned in respect to the Supreme Lord. Therefore, while ladies on the tops of the houses in the capital of king of Kuru's Dainatya were talking about the Lord, their talks more pleasing than the Vedic hymns. Anything sung in the praise of the Lord, Rupi mantra. There are songs of the Asura Narottama Dasa, one of the Acharya in the Gaudiya Sampurnadaya, composed in simple Bengali language. But the Thakura Vaisnava Chakravarti, another very learned Acharya of the Sampradaya, has approved the song by Thakura Narottama to be the good as Vedic mantra. And this is so because of the subject matter. The language is immaterial, but the subject matter is important. The ladies who were all absorbed in the thought of action of the Lord developed the consciousness of Vedic wisdom by the grace of the Lord. And therefore, although such ladies might not have been very learned scholars in Sanskrit or otherwise, still whatever they spoke was more attractive than Vedic hymns. The Vedic hymns in the Upanishad are sometimes indirectly directed to the Supreme Lord, but the talk of the ladies were directly spoken of the Lord, and thus they were more pleasing to hear. The ladies' talk appeared to be more valuable than learned Brahman's benediction. Krishna.
So the ladies' talks were more attractive than the Vedic hymns. The ladies talk about the power, excellence, and glories of Krishna. And in subsequent verses, they talk about all these glories, excellence, and power. So because these ladies' talks were directly about Krishna, therefore they were more attractive than Vedic hymns. So in these subsequent verses from 20 onwards, these ladies will have these points about the power, excellence, and glories of Krishna, that how Krishna is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Abhishek Prabhu, 21 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. 21. They said, "Here he is, the original personality of Godhead, as we definitely remember him. He alone existed before the manifested creation of the modes of nature, and in him only, because he is the Supreme Lord, all living beings merge, as if sleeping at night, their energy suspended."
So Krishna is situated before creation as well as after annihilation. We'll read the purport last three paragraphs. The Abhishek Prabhu will read the paragraph starting, thus Govinda or Lord Krishna. From there, read till the end of purport.
Hare Krishna. Thus, Govinda or Lord Krishna is the cause of Mahavishnu also. The ladies talking about this Vedic truth must have heard it from authoritative sources. An authoritative source is the only means of knowing about transcendental subject matter definitely. There is no alternative. The merging of the living beings into the body of Mahavishnu takes place automatically at the end of Brahma's 100 years. But that does not mean that the individual living being loses his identity. The identity is there, and as soon as there is another creation by the supreme will of the Lord, all the sleeping, inactive living beings are again let loose to begin their activities in the continuation of past different spheres of life. It is called Suptothita Nyaya, or awakening from sleep and again engaging in one's respective continuous duty. When a man is asleep at night, he forgets himself, what he is, and what his duty is, and everything of his waking state. But as soon as he awakens from slumber, he remembers all that he has to do and thus engages himself again in his prescribed activities. The living being also remains merged in the body of Mahavishnu during the period of annihilation, but as soon as there is another creation, they rise to take up their unfinished work. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 8.18 to 20. The Lord existed before the creative energy was set in action. The Lord is not a product of the material energy. His body is completely spiritual and there is no difference between his body and himself. Before creation, the Lord remained in his abode, which is absolute and one.
Hmm. There is a question for you all. The second last paragraph, which says the merging of living beings into the body of Mahavishnu takes place automatically at the end of Brahma's 100 years. Do you agree with this statement? Does the Jiva merge with Mahavishnu? What do you know so far? Everybody? Shivangi?
Prabhuji, I don't think it means merging like in that Mayavadi type of way. I think it just means that the souls, like, they take shelter in his body while the partial destruction happens.
Yeah, so you read what does the second last paragraph first line say? Read, Shivangi.
The merging of the living beings into the body of Mahavishnu takes place automatically at the end of Brahmaji's 100 years.
Right, it's exactly opposite to what you are saying. The Purport says merging of Jiva into the body of Mahavishnu.
Yeah, but then the second line says it does not mean that the individual living being loses his identity.
You are correct. You are correct that the individual doesn't lose his identity. But how do you understand the first line? It says the merging. So Shivangi, you are very good. You are and you have very nice approach of defending what you are saying, that you are quoting the next line saying don't read in isolation. So you are very good. But still, if you read the first line of the second last paragraph, it says merging of the Jiva with Mahavishnu. How do you understand this point? Abhishek Prabhu?
In our bodies also, like we, the soul, are there, but in the body there are other living organisms also present uh, at the same time, but they are still individual entities. So this can be taken as a similarity.
Yeah, so our body is not the same as Mahavishnu's body. We cannot compare it that way. So yes, that's a good endeavor, but that our body is material versus Mahavishnu's body is spiritual. So we cannot really do that comparison. Everybody, what have you heard about this merging with Mahavishnu? Does the Jiva merge upon upon partial and full annihilation of Brahma's life? Silence.
Prabhu? Yes, Prabhu. Have you heard that and that living entities are part and parcels of the Lord? And then is it more that the energy, and I don't know, I really don't explain it, but it's something to do with our energy, being accumulated with Lord's energy and then recreated again.
So are you saying that the Jiva merges with Mahavishnu? Nitya, is that what you're saying?
I believe in a way not because it's just the energy, and I don't know whether it's material energy of our material energy is taken in, absorbed into the Lord. It's not like technically we are merging, it's absorbed into the Lord. He absorbs us.
No, so absorb is merging. So Nitya, you also read the first line of second last paragraph. How do you understand this line?
The merging of the living entities into the body of Mahavishnu takes place automatically at the end of Brahma's 100 years.
How do you understand? It clearly says merging.
Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, also it happens at partial annihilation, right? At the end of day of Brahma's life.
Yeah, you are correct. At both times, partial annihilation as well as full annihilation. So, does the Jiva merge in Mahavishnu or not merge in Mahavishnu? Everybody likes the confusion.
It's hard to answer, Prabhu.
Who wants to know the answer?
Want to know the answer, Prabhu?
Only Nitya?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
All right. So Sridhar Swami, prominent Acharya, he has described this, that the designations that we all have are created by Mahat Tattva. The upadhis of the Jiva means these designations which are created by Mahat Tattva. These designations, these upadhis are merging into Mahavishnu. But the Jiva does not merge in Mahavishnu. The Jiva simply is sleeping in Mahavishnu. So to understand this statement, the merging, I'll explain with an analogy. That's the Acharyas have explained. So say when there is a car accident, so the person will come out of the car and he will say to the other person, why did you hit me? Arey Bapa, nobody hit you. The other person's car hit the first person's car. But the person is saying, why did you hit me? Why is he saying, why did you hit me? Is because the person is identifying with the body. Similarly, body are the upadhi of the jiva. Hence, the Mahat Tattva means the upadhi are merging with the Vishnu while the jiva remains individually separate and asleep in Mahavishnu's womb until there is another creation. So now what Shivangi was saying, if you now read the second last paragraph, the first and the second line, now it should make more sense. We'll come back to reading those. So because the jiva identifies with the upadhis, means with the body, which is made out of Mahatattva, that upadhi, that Mahatattva gets merged with Mahavishnu while the jiva stays asleep and individually in Mahavishnu's womb. Just as one who loses all his wealth, he thinks he has lost himself because he has identified himself with the wealth. This is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 27, verse number 15. And another example to understand is that, say, a parrot is flying into a green tree. The parrot does not merge into the tree. The individuality of the parrot stays. So the jiva's upadhi merges because the jiva identifies himself with the upadhis. Everybody on the same page? Shivangi, you want to read the first and the second line together and now tell me if that makes sense?
The merging of the living beings into the body of Mahavishnu takes place automatically at the end of Brahma's 100 years. But that does not mean that the individual living being loses his identity. The identity is there.
Hold on, yeah, that's it. So the merging is the upadhis of the jiva. And then the second line says, yeah, the upadhis are merged, but the living entity stays individual, separate. Shivangi, Nitya, everybody?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one clarification. In purport paragraph 1, again it says in the beginning, and in both periods, both the material energy called the Mahatattva and the marginal energy called Jiva merge in the person of the Supreme Lord. We have to understand this again the same way, correct?
Yeah, you are correct.
Okay.
Okay, very good. And the same purport also describes the analogy that every time, every day, the night time, generally when we sleep, we forget everything. And next morning when we wake up, we again remember and we start working. Similarly, the jivas who are sleeping in Mahavishnu's womb until the next day of Brahmaji or the next cycle of creation, while they are sleeping, they forget everything. And then it describes in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, that at the time of next creation, the Lord gives the jiva the remembrance of his previous desires, so the jiva can start working again in the material world. Questions, comments, realizations? All right. Divya, 22. So these are the ladies glorifying Krishna, and those verses continue. So now in verse number 22, Krishna's actions in relation to creation and annihilation is described. Right? Straightforward verse.
Hare Krishna translation. The personality of Godhead, again desiring to give names and forms to his parts and parcels, the living entities, placed them under the guidance of material nature. By his own potency, material nature is empowered to recreate.
Straightforward verse. And verse number 23, the ladies say that he is rarely seen, but we are allowed to see him by our good fortune. Nitya 23 translation.
Yes, Prabhu. Here is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead whose transcendental form is experienced by the great devotees, who are completely cleansed of material consciousness by the dint of rigid devotional service and full control of the five senses. And that's the only way to purify existence.
In the purport, Prabhupada explains that controlling senses by devotional service is the only and the easiest process. Nitya, read purport halfway through. It starts in the Bhagavad Gita. It is said.
Yes, Prabhu. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the senses can be controlled only by better engagement. Devotional service necessitates purifying the senses or engaging them in activities of devotional service. Devotional service is not inaction. Anything done in the service of the Lord becomes at once purified of its material nature. The material conception is due to ignorance only. There is nothing beyond Vasudeva. The Vasudeva conception gradually develops in the heart of the learned after a prolonged acceleration of the receptive organ. But the process ends in the knowledge of accepting Vasudeva as all in all. In the case of devotional service, this very same method is accepted from the very beginning, and by the grace of the Lord, all factual knowledge becomes revealed in the heart of the devotee due to dictation by the Lord from within. Therefore, controlling the senses by devotional service is the only and easiest means.
Verse number 24 states his pastimes are mysterious, and Krishna's pastimes are revealed only to his confidential devotees. Gauri, 24 translation.
Hey Krishna. Verse number 24. Oh dear friends, here is the very personality of Godhead whose attractive and confidential pastimes are described in the confidential parts of the Vedic literature by his great devotees. It is he only who creates, maintains, and annihilates the material world and yet remains unaffected.
He creates, maintains, and annihilates the material world, yet he is aloof. Just as the sky does not get wet when rain falls from the sky. Then verse number 25 explains the reason behind the Lord manifesting his various transcendental forms. Chandran Prabhu, 25 translation.
Need to read this? Babuji, should I read this?
Yeah, Chandran Prabhu, 25.
Translation. Whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals in the lowest modes of existence, the Lord in his transcendental form manifests his supreme power, the truth positive, shows special mercy to the faithful, performs wonderful activities, and manifests various transcendental forms as is necessary in different periods and ages.
So in every yuga, he assumes different forms. And what is the necessity? When Jiva is engaged in sinful activities by adopting a dharma, at that time, the Lord comes. So Acharyas have explained that when Lord appears, so all these Sanskrit terms, bhagam, means he manifests his opulence killing demons is Bhagam. Bhagam means Aishwaryam. Then Satyam, that he prosecutes truth, just as Rama was perfect ruler, was able to build a bridge by appropriate instructions. And then Daya, that he shows special mercy. Example, the demon Bhaumasura kidnapped 16,100 females. Krishna rescued all of them and married all of them. Then Yasho means his wonderful activities like even killing Putana and chastising Kalia. So Krishna appears and manifests these above 5 items that is explained by devotees of the Lord. In
Prabhu, can you
verses,
please, sorry to interrupt, can you please repeat the 5 qualities again? Sorry.
so Bhagam is his opulence, Aishwarya. Then Satyam, that he is truthful. Daya is he shows mercy. And Yasho is wonderful activity. So 4, not 5. I should have said 4.
Thank you.
In verses 26 to 30, the ladies glorify the personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. Malti 26 translation.
Yes, Prabhuji. 26. How supremely glorified is the dynasty of the King Yadu, and how virtuous is the land of Mathura, where the supreme leader of all living beings, the husband of goodness, of fortunate, has taken his birth and wandered in his childhood. Hare Krishna.
So Yadu dynasty and Mathura are both glorious because Krishna appeared there. In purport, Srila Prabhupada gives the analogy of a sun. That sun is existing. Sun becomes visible at particular times. So say when there is night in a particular area or country or region, does not mean sun does not exist. No, it's just sun is not visible. Sun continues to exist. Similarly, Lord exists forever. And Lord appears at times, means Lord becomes visible to us at times. Therefore, one should not be confused about the eternity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. Verse number 27 describes that Dwarka is highly glorious. Mayank Prabhu, 27 translation.
Hare Krishna. Undoubtedly, it is wonderful that Dwarka has defeated the glories of the heavenly planets and has enhanced the celebrity of the earth. The inhabitants of Dwarka are always seeing the soul of all living beings. Krishna in his loving feature. He glances at them and favors them with sweet smiles.
So in the purport, it described at great length that the glories of heavenly planets are defeated by glories of Dwarka. How? The heavenly planets are more celebrated than earth because facilities of enjoyment are enhanced and beauty of inhabitants in heavenly planets is legendary. Dwarka has defeated heavenly planets because the Lord appeared and ruled as king in Dwarka. Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwarka are more important than any famous planets within the universe because the Lord performed his pastimes, his transcendental activities at these places. These places of Vrindavan, Mathura, Dwarka are perpetually holy places. So heavenly planets may have better material enjoyment, facilities, but as soon as the acquired virtue is finished, means the karmic credit is finished, one has to come back on earth or even go to hell from heaven. So Dwarka is more important than heavenly planets because whosoever is favored with the smiling face of the Lord shall never come back to earth, which is a place of misery. So devotional service done at Dwarka, Mathura, Vrindavan gets magnified. The mood of Dwarkavasi is different from those in heavenly planets. Those who live in Dwarka, they do not accept Krishna as father or son in bodily relations. We are attached to father in body because I came from the father. But father can protect body, but father cannot protect the soul. All Dwarkavasis accepted Krishna as the protector of soul. Not that he is just the protector of the body. Similarly, in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam, the ladies of Hastinapur, as well as Dwarka, they are saying that he is pati or husband of the Atma, not the body. Although he is protector of body also, but we take him as protector of Atma. Everybody on the same page? Questions, comments, realization? Shivangi, 28. So in verse number 28, the lady states that the wives of the Lord must have perfectly worshipped him in their previous lives. A straightforward verse.
Verse 28, Prabhu. O friends, just think of his wives, whose hands he has accepted. How they must have undergone vows, baths, fire sacrifices, and perfect worship of the Lord of the universe to constantly relish now the nectar from his lips by kissing. The damsels of Rajabhumi would often faint just by expecting such favors. Krishna.
Straightforward verse. In verses 29 and 30, the ladies describe that the queens of Dwarka are glorious. A continuation of this verse. Shivangi can continue, 29-30.
The children of these ladies are Pradyumna, Samba, Amba, etc. Ladies like Rukmini, Satyabhama, and Jambavati were forcibly taken away by him from their Swayamvara ceremonies after he defeated many kings headed by Shishupala. And other ladies were also forcibly taken away by him after he killed Baumasura and thousands of his assistants. All of these ladies are glorious. All these women auspiciously glorified their lives despite their being without individuality and without purity. Their husband, the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead, never left them alone at home. He always pleased their hearts by making malleable presentations.
Straightforward verses, all glorifying the various qualities. And now Krishna is ready to depart from Hastinapur. So up to the previous verse number 30, from verse 7 to 30, was the part 2 of this chapter, which was Krishna's departure from Hastinapur to Dwarka. And now from 31 till end of the chapter is part 3, which is Lord accepts the prayers of the ladies. So all these verses are pretty straightforward. Mayank Prabhu, 31, 32, 33 translations.
Hare Krishna. While the ladies of the capital Hastinapur were greeting him and talking in this way, the Lord, smiling, accepted their good greetings, and casting the grace of his glance over them, he departed from the city. Maharaja Yudhishthira, although no one's enemy, engaged 4 divisions of defense, horse, elephant, chariot, and army to accompany Lord Krishna, the enemy of the Asuras. The Maharaja did this because of the enemy and also out of affection for the Lord. Out of profound affection for Lord Krishna, the Pandavas, who were of the Kuru dynasty, accompanied him a considerable distance to see him off. They were overwhelmed with the thought of future separation. The Lord, however, persuaded them to return home, and he proceeded towards Dwarka with his dear companions.
So the next 3 verses, Krishna's journey is described. Upon sunset every day, Krishna will stay at a place and people from that place will come to see and offer respects to Krishna. Malti, 34 to 36 translations are straightforward.
33.
34 to 36.
O Sanka of the Lord then proceeded toward Kurujangala Pankala Sursena, the land of the bank of the river Yamuna, Brahmavarta, Kurukshetra, Mithya, Sarasvata, the province of the desert and the land of sandy water. After crossing these provinces, he gradually reached the Sovira and Abhira province. Then west of this reached Dwarka at last. 26. On his journey through these provinces, he was welcomed and worshipped and given various presentations. In the evening, in all places, the Lord suspended his journey to perform evening rites. This was regularly observed after sunset. Hare Krishna.
Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can you share what is the essence of this chapter? I'm not able to follow. If there is something specific.
So, if you follow these sections of this chapter, the last 2 sections that we covered today describes Krishna's departure from Hastinapur to Dwarka, where the ladies are describing the qualities or the glories of the Lord. And the chapter describes that how for a pure devotee, separation is very difficult. So the last verses that we just read, that all the residents of Hastinapur, or many prominent residents of Hastinapur leading from Pandavas, they walked with Krishna departing on the way, and then Krishna had to tell them, okay, now you go back. So this is what the chapter is showing, the attachment of the pure devotee. And the first part of the chapter, we discussed about Yudhishthir's rule over the kingdom, that why did Yudhishthir accept, or how could he accept, and what was the motive? His motive was just to serve the Lord. Abhishek Prabhu, does that help you?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
All right. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwarka. Homework questions, write down please. Number 1. Explain how Dwarka is more important than heavenly planets. Comes from verse 27. Number 2. Why the talk of the ladies on the roofs of all the houses in Hastinapur was more attractive than the hymns of Vedas? Comes from verse number 20. Third, for next class, read chapter 11, entire chapter, 39 verses. All right. I will now answer inquiries from all the previous classes that are left over from before. I'll bring up on screen. So the continuation, I have previously answered up to question number 8. So today I will start from question number 9. Number 9. Can you kindly explain the difference in departure of Pandavas from earth as is explained in Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavatam? So Srimad Bhagavatam is a compilation from various scriptures, including few chapters that we have covered so far, chapter 8 and 9. They are from Mahabharata. So these chapter 8 Kunti prayers and chapter 9 Bhishmadev prayers are originally in Mahabharata. And because these are at the bhakti level, hence these canto 1 chapters 8 and 9 are placed in Srimad Bhagavatam. So rest of the life of Kunti Maharani and Bhishmadev in Mahabharata is at Karma Kanda level, hence is not placed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Similarly, canto 1 chapter 15 describes the timely departure of Pandavas from earth. So as long as you read bona fide version of Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavatam, there should be no difference. So as is described in Canto 1, Chapter 15, that Pandavas attain Goloka Vrindavan in the same body by following Krishna consciousness, that remembering Krishna while quitting the body. Does that answer the inquiry? So we don't have to worry about differences as long as we read original scriptures.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Question number 10. when we think of Srimati Radharani as being the ultimate love of Sri Krishna, it brings in a feeling of conjugal connection with your beloved, which is blissful. So how do men think of this connect with Krishna? Krishna is Param Purusha. How can other Purush think of this connect with Param Purusha? So one word answer is rasa. If one is in a Madhurya rasa, the soul will get appropriate body to reciprocate in Madhurya rasa. And Madhurya rasa, generally the soul reciprocates with Krishna. Now, the question has further continuation that does the ultimate love of Krishna for men is in Sakha Bhav also? Can Sakha Bhav be as deep as Srimati Radharani's and Krishna's prema? So as I was explaining that if someone is in Madhurya Rasa, that soul will get an appropriate body to reciprocate in Madhurya Rasa. And if a soul has Dasya Rasa, then the soul will get appropriate body to reciprocate in Dasya Rasa. So generally, those in Madhurya Rasa will reciprocate with Krishna. So yes, Krishna does reciprocate with souls in other rasas as well. It's just that depending on the rasa, the reciprocation is different. So it's described in Ramayana that few devotees in male body approached Lord Ram, that they were attracted to Lord Ram. And Lord Ram stated that he is Maryada Purush. And to satisfy the desires of these male-bodied devotees, Lord Ram stated that they will get another body of gopis and the Supreme Personality of Godhead will reciprocate with them when the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears as Krishna. So Lord Ram, also as Supreme Personality of Godhead, is saying them that he will reciprocate with them when he comes back as Krishna. So those male-bodied devotees during Lord Ram's time in Ramayana were actually some of the gopis during Krishna's time on earth. So understand that all rasas are identical. An example to understand is that, say there is a 5-liter water pot for Madhurya rasa, 4-liter water pot for Vatsalya rasa, and so on, and you come down to 1-liter pot for Dasya rasa. So all pots are filled with water. There is no more room. Meaning, Hanuman in the Dasya rasa is fully satisfied in his Dasya rasa. Hanuman is not dissatisfied. Hanuman is not thinking that he has to get to Madhurya rasa to reciprocate with Krishna to be satisfied. No, he is already satisfied in his Dasya rasa serving Lord Ram. Similarly, all devotees are satisfied in their respective rasas. Does that answer the inquiry? All right. Next set of questions. So again, the count starts from 1 because it is from the next set. I'm just catching up on answering the questions. Question number 1. Please explain the meaning of this statement in the purport of text number 42. So this is from previous chapter. So Krishna is both Brahma Jyoti and localized Paramatma. But in Brahmajyoti or Paramatma, there is no Krishna or sweet relations with Krishna. In his personal feature, Krishna is both Parthasarthi and Shyam Sundar of Vrindavan. But in his impersonal feature, he is neither in the Brahmajyoti nor in the Paramatma. So the Brahmajyoti and Paramatma come from Krishna. Still, Brahmajyoti and Paramatma are separate from the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, in his Shyam Sundar form. When original Krishna comes to earth, all incarnations of Krishna come with Krishna within Krishna. Therefore, the killing on the Kurukshetra battlefield was done by the Vishnu form of Krishna within Krishna. Now, Brahmajyoti is impersonal. There is no activity. Hence, the statement says that there is no sweet relation with Krishna. So yes, the Brahmajyoti and the Paramatma come from Krishna, but Krishna, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, is still separate. He still has his original two-handed Shyam Sundar form. Does that answer the inquiry? Nitya?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So, with the Paramatma feature, we feel we connect to God. I understand it's not the complete Bhagavan feature, but we still feel, right? When we say Paramatma, Lord Krishna in your heart, is that okay to think that way?
So it is still spiritual realization. Paramatma realization is still spiritual realization. And we have discussed this in Canto 1, Chapter 7, the first 11 verses, where Srila Vyasadeva has showed us by his example that when Srila Vyasadeva attained his perfection, well, he's already perfect, but he's trying to show how to attain perfection. So when he attained perfection, he saw Brahmajyoti and Paramatma, but he bypassed Brahmajyoti and Paramatma, stating that Brahmajyoti and Paramatma are not complete realizations. Bhagwan is full realization. So at Brahmajyoti, you have Sat only. Paramatma, you have Sat and Chit. And then Bhagwan realization, you have all Sat, Chit, Ananda. Nitya?
Thanks, Prabhu. Thank you.
Question number 2. Is devotion and bhakti enough for Krishna to appear in our final moments? The answer is yes. Bhagavad Gita 8.5 says, Smaran muktva kalevaram. Smaran. That one has to remember Krishna at the time of death. Acharyas have explained that don't worry about trying to remember Krishna at the time of death, because death is very difficult. Rather, what you have to do is to remember Krishna throughout your life by doing devotional service, means doing bhakti, by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, etc. Such devotional activities, so that Krishna remembers you at the time of death. So yes, doing bhakti or doing devotional service throughout your life, there is high likelihood that you will remember Krishna by Krishna's mercy. Does that answer the inquiry? All right. So again, it's a next set of inquiries. So again, my count starts from 1. I've left them from separate counts. So question number 1. Do people who live to be centenarians or long lives with less miseries have more pious credits from previous births? are they given more time to fulfill life's purpose to return home to Godhead? So length of life, happiness and distress are dependent on karma. Spirituality is dependent on the use of free will. The karma of the long life and use of free will for spirituality do not cross each other. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhu, in a very profound way. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 2. Maharaj Yudhishthir is the emperor of the world. Does Dwarka also fall under his rule? So even in material world, when a king appoints another smaller king as king of a particular region, does not mean that this smaller king becomes the bigger than the original king who appointed him to begin with. Example, Duryodhan made Karn as king of a particular region. So Karn did not become king of Duryodhan. Similarly, Krishna appointed Yudhishthir as king of the world does not make Yudhishthir as king of Krishna. Therefore, up to the time Krishna was present on earth, Yudhishthir followed the instructions of the infallible Krishna, meaning Krishna is the supreme king. And understand that soon after Yudhishthir was made king, Krishna's purpose of coming to earth to make his devotee as king was accomplished. And soon after Krishna returned to Goloka Vrindavan, then Dwarka also was under Yudhishthir's rule. Does that answer the inquiry? Okay. Last question for today. There are so many people in this world who do not even know who God is or have never heard of the Bhagavad Gita. In such a situation, how can the Lord expect suffering human beings to return to Him? So this is the first symptom of becoming a preacher and your heart becoming soft by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The devotee who has asked this question is obviously a preacher. So that people of the world hear about Bhagavad Gita, therefore we go out on preaching endeavors. Plus, Krishna sends his representatives as spiritual master to guide suffering humans to go back to Godhead. So everyone is in an evolution cycle to come to a human form of birth and then practice spirituality. So from the 8.4 million life forms, there is a hierarchy. That say one jiva has a particular life form, then the karma of that life form is exhausted. The jiva leaves that body, then goes to the next higher in the evolution cycle until he comes to the human form of life. So humans still have the ability to practice spirituality. So just visualize the plight of animals who are just caught up in eating, mating, sleeping, and defending with no ability for spirituality. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.10.1 describes the 10 subject matters discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam. And one of those 10 subject matters is the science of God. So material world is created for jiva to satisfy their enjoying mentality desires. And simultaneously, Krishna has provided scriptures, spiritual master to understand the science of God so that everyone can return back to Godhead. Does that answer the inquiry? Nitya?
Prabhu, for devotees or even for human beings who have begun this path of spirituality, even if they don't complete it in this life, are they guaranteed to not fall to a lower species, but at least to come back to continue this path?
So there is no guarantee. Srila Prabhupada has described in Shishopanishad that the law of the last thought is a very dangerous situation. That even devotees can think of something else at the last moment and end up becoming whatever they are thinking. Example is given in 8.6 that how Bharat Maharaj goes on to become a deer. So there is no guarantee that what you are going to get in the next life. And simultaneously, Prabhupada has said that if you do devotional services throughout your life, there is a high likelihood that you will get a human form of life, at least in your next life, and that too somewhere among devotees so that you can continue. So there's a high likelihood that you will get a human form of life somewhere close to devotees as long as you do devotional service in this life. But you can also fall down if at the last moment you end up thinking of stock exchange or some other enjoying mentality or whatever. Okay.
Prabhu, also that all our that Lord sees our services and everything through the life, right? The way we live our life. So, I mean, we've also discussed at the last stage, it may be hard to, we hope we can control our thoughts, but it may not be always possible. So, the God is aware of what we're doing in this life. I mean, of course, our goal is not to come back again, to be born through this, right? God is watching us, right? So, He knows what we're doing.
Yeah, read 13.23, Nitya. Upadeshamrit and Anumrata. He is witnessing everything. Read. Nitya, 13.23 translation.
Yet in this body there is another transcendental enjoyer who is the Lord, the Supreme Proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is also known as the Super Soul.
Right? He is existing in our body as overseer also. So he definitely knows what we are doing. Nitya?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you.
Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I have a question from previous chapter. Like Ashwadhama, the forgiving of Ashwadhama, not physically killing him, does it bear some responsibility for him releasing his second Brahmastra? Like in the sense that decision was wrong.
So decision was not wrong. What that event signifies is that material world is a place of misery. Yes, on the surface, it looks like that if Ashwatthama was killed, physically killed, then he would have not released the second Brahmastra. Well, then something else would have happened wrong. That's the point being conveyed, that material world is a place of misery, that something or the other is bound to go wrong. And the same conversation, and probably Abhishek Prabhu or somebody will have this same conversation upcoming in Canto 1, chapters 17 and 18, where Parikshit Maharaj has the ability to kill Kali before Kali flourishes, before the Kali flourishes, and Parikshit Maharaj chooses not to kill Kali. So there's actually a question which comes up that why did Parikshit Maharaj not kill Kali? if Parikshit Maharaj had killed Kali at that time, then we would not be in this miserable place what we are, and still the Kali Yuga is, the bad part of the Kali Yuga is still to flourish. So this same discussion will come up. The answer is going to be the same. But of course, why Parikshit Maharaj did not kill Kali at that time, there's another reason which we'll discuss in chapter 17 and 18. Abhishek Prabhu, does that help you?
Yes, Prabhu, that is very nicely explained. I have one more question, if it's okay. Uh, 1.8.17, it describes that chaste devotees, they never ask Lord for help. But we also see that devotees do ask Lord for help. And so how do we see these two situations?
Very good. I want you to go to Bhagavad Gita 18.66 in the purport. There's the Sharnagati verse. Anukulya se sankalpa, patikulya se varjanam, rakshishyato vishwaso. That rakshishyato, that Krishna is my only protector, then guptatve varnam tatha. Atmanikshepe karpane sadvidhi sharnagati. So devotees have this firm faith in Krishna that no matter what, Krishna will protect. So yes, ordinarily, not ordinarily, but generally, devotees don't ask anything from Krishna. But in extreme circumstances, they are trying to prove for all of our understanding that Krishna is the only protector. There is no one who can protect us except Krishna. Does that answer? And you can read the translation and the purport of underneath that verse, and it explains all these points.
Yes, that was very nice. Thank you.
All right. Rest of you, questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhu, just a realization, my take-home point to this class of all the things was we have the difference of how the devotees see, Brajvasis see Lord as the protector of the soul. And that was like very profound, because I think I still think of protection as body and soul rather than ask Lord to be the protector of the soul.
Very good. Correct point. So, anybody has any other questions?
Prabhuji, would you mind explaining once again about the Jiva does not merge, or Mahatattva, the body merging with Mahavishnu, Jiva inside.
Yeah. So,
Would you?
yeah, I'll explain. That we identify ourselves with the upadhis. That I am this body, or I think that I am Indian, or I am American, or whatnot. So, because we identify ourselves with the upadhis, therefore the statement says that merging with Mahavishnu. What is merging is our upadhis. The upadhis which are created by Mahatattva, means material nature. That upadhi, that bodily identification that we have, those merge with Mahavishnu, but the Jiva does not merge. The Jiva stays separate and just is sleeping in Mahavishnu's womb with individuality maintained. And wakes up at, when the next day of Brahmaji or next creation cycle happens. Chandan Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, I understood now. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, the last thing I'm gonna play. So yesterday we were at a preaching event for many devotees. There was some 70 some devotees, and Vimal Prabhu's daughters, means these are kids from Vaikuntha Loka. They chanted Hare Krishna Mahamantra and recited so many shlokas. So I'm gonna play this video so you all can also get your children or niece and nephews to join the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam classes, and you can see the result of Vimal Prabhu's daughters firsthand. Let me play this. So what do you do every evening? You join for Japa? Explain.
Every day, me and my dad, my little sister, we join this video call. It's for Japa class. We say Hare Krishna Mahamantra 108 times. So before we say it, we say our other mantra. It's the Panchatattva mantra. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna. Oh, sorry. Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Okay, and this was the elder daughter Trisha of Vimal Prabhu, and now we'll hear from the younger daughter Gamya. Let's hear.
Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami
Prabhuji, not able to hear
Shri
anything.
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Dakshine Lakshmano Yasya Vame Tu Janakatmaja Puritu Maruti Yasya Tam Vande Raghunandanam.
Are those Vaikuntha kids?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, were not able to hear anything. Not sure if I was the only one.
Oh, really? Okay.
No, it was audible. I was able to hear, Prabhuji.
I was able to hear too.
Okay.
I could hear.
Okay, Mayan Prabhu, you can check your connection and listen to the recording.
Okay, I am able to hear this thing, what we are talking. I don't know why that I was not
So
able to.
it's your connection. Everybody else was able to hear.
Okay, no problem.
So were those Vaikuntha kids?
Yes, Prabhu, absolutely.
All right. You can also try to get children from your family, whether it's your children or niece, nephews, to join these Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam discussions to have the same benefit. Learn the culture of India and promote the cultural Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the duty of Indians, and Vimal Prabhu's daughters are doing it to perfection, as well as Vimal Prabhu and his wife, to make them to practice on this line. Very good. Are we okay to stop here?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.